I'm Gary Birtles, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tricky Talks. We are without Simon today. He was selected for the starting 11, but it turned out he couldn't be bothered to play, so he's just stayed at home. So coming in off the bench with all that heart that we need, we've got Chelsea's dad, Kev, on his Tricky Talks debut. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
We're very, very happy to have you. And then our regular hardcore leave it all on the pitch. Chelsea, how are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. A bit frustrated, but and I am sporting my cup that we got for Christmas, which says I support Forest, and this will be the only cup I'll be getting this year. And I was quite offended when I first got it, but it seems to be a bit apt at the moment. So, cheers, everybody.
Was it made in Wales?
I think so.
Quite possibly. And of course, we have Mollo, suited and booted and ready for the occasion. How you doing, Mollo?
Yeah, all good. And at least there are no Welsh teams left in the Europa League. That's all I'm saying, because that's the one cup we are going to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. No more trips to Wales, please, ever again. Thank you very much. Okay, so and that is obviously where we're going to start. We're going to start in Wales. We're going to have a talk about Wrexham, a game of three halves, let's be honest. I was there. I have to say, I had a great time. I've got lots of positive things to say about that, but let's get that first half out the way before we talk about anything else. Mollo, thoughts on the first half?
Well, Sean Dyche kind of summed it up in a very succinct and brutal way, which I completely and utterly agree with and subscribe to. I don't know about throwing players under the bus, as some people have said, but honesty. It was poor, and it was poor in so many different ways, wasn't it? That team was something like £140 million worth of talent. We didn't exactly put a load of kids in there, did we? It was people that are supposed to have made our squad stronger. And ultimately, with the ball, it was pedestrian, slow, going through the motions. And without the ball, the majority just didn't really look at it. I've read some horrendous stats about that first half, about number of tackles lost as well. And we had the lion's share of possession, but I don't remember us creating much, if anything. It was just appalling, wasn't it? And Sean Dyche called it, and I would say things could only get better after half time. I thought the question asked by the Forest fans was perfectly valid. What on earth was that? I don't agree with booing the players, but I can well imagine as they sat down for their half-time cup of tea, Sean Dyche walked in and said pretty much the same phrase. What the was that? And there it was. First half in a nutshell. Poor defending. It should have been three. All three goals from errors. Soft centre right through the team. Midfield. Centre backs. One centre back was ever so slightly worse than the other. And if you've got that happening, thank goodness for Matt Stells at the end of the first half. Not that it mattered in the end. I'm not down about the whole thing, but I'm sure we'll come to the unbelievably contrasting rest of the game at some point. But yeah, the first half was unacceptable, was the word Sean Dyche used, and I agree with that. And the reasons for that, I'm sure there are many.
So I'm going to spin it back. We were in the Turf, okay, the famous Disney Plus pub outside of, right outside the football ground. And I've got to say, fantastic place. Absolutely love that. Not experienced it for a long time, where home and away fans mixed together. Really, really good vibe, really, really good atmosphere. chatting to them, they were saying, oh, we think you're going to win. We were saying, oh, we think you're going to win. Everybody waiting for the team news to come through. And to be fair, when the team news did come through, quite a lot of people's comments were that's stronger than potentially we thought it was going to be. You know, we'd had conversations in the car about whether Angus Gunn would be in goal, you know, whether he would really start the kids, whether we were going to see Zach Abbott starting, things like that. But actually, when you saw that team on paper or on your phone, you know, it felt like we were going reasonably strong and kind of a lot of what we expected, this so-called second string that we talk about that are supposed to be vying for the shirt. So as we walked into the ground, there was a fair amount, I would say, of positivity. You know, it was definitely being put on as an event. We had Ryan Reynolds walking around the edge of the pitch, giving everybody a wave, followed by bazillion cameras, you know, which everybody was laughing at. There was some good banter going back and forth between the fans. They were very loud to our right. There was a lot of England stuff. There was a lot of, you know, that kind of thing, but all fairly good until we started to play. And then it was just like, what on earth is going on? And as the goals kept banging in, and we almost forget that we scored first, didn't we? And that it got disallowed, because it just became completely irrelevant, you know, following on for the rest of the half. And for me, I know you've touched on it, Mollo, the booing and the jeering as they went off is like nothing I've ever experienced. And I have very recently experienced the Ange sacking. You know, I've also experienced us getting relegated from the Championship down into League One, but that was next level. It was, I didn't join in with it. I never do, but I could totally understand where that was coming from. You know, how did that come across to you guys? I know you said, you know, you've watched the highlights, but I'm assuming you could hear it in the highlights as they were. How did that come across to you?
Yeah, I mean, there just seemed a lot of disgruntled fans around, didn't there, really, to be perfectly honest, which is a bit of a shame. You can sort of understand the frustrations, but I mean, as you say, you look at the team that went out there, and there's a lot of expensive players there who should be able to go out, and a lot of it seemed to be the desire. It just wasn't there, to be perfectly honest. That was the thing that really got to you, because there's no excuses really for that. And that was dished out.
And that's the thing, we should be in a position now in terms of money and also just general performance. We should be in a position where we do have two squads where they are both not equal. I'm not saying that, but they need to be at a level where you don't perform like that. There is too much money on that pitch in order for them to play like that. And it's totally unnecessary. And like Dyche said, you don't perform like that when you're wearing this badge. And that's where that desire, the passion, Wrexham wanted it and they got it. And that is the long and short of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that on balance of the whole game, that I still think they wanted it more, and I still think ultimately they deserved it more. It was interesting. I think you can kind of, from the press conference at the end, in your head you can imagine what the team talk was like at half time in the dressing room.
I think it was the same words used by the fans, in my opinion, because that's the sort of manager is. He will have said exactly what the fans were chanting, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then obviously we rang in the changes, and the second half was a vast improvement in terms of footballing ability, drive, desire, scoreline. At one point we were singing Morgan Gibbs-White, he's playing on his own, which, I mean, I get where that was coming from, because he was very much the driving force when he came back on. But it was a total flip, wasn't it? You know, it was all of a sudden, here is the Premier League quality that they're talking about. The Premier League quality that I think actually bred the complacency in the first half. I think that's how it came across to me. You know, well, we're Premier League, we're going to win because we're Premier League and because we're better and we're worth all this money, but actually we're not going to do anything about it. And, you know, the word that was used a lot was endeavour. You know, they just didn't have the endeavour, did they, in the first half? Second half they did. So for me, I really enjoyed the second half. That's where it became that classic Forest roller coaster, that incredible cup tie, which I was, very very happy to be witnessing and be a part of, that up and down, screaming, shouting, booing, whatever. So, okay, tell me why. Tell me why the second half was so much better, Mollo.
Two things, isn't it? Better players on the ball, looking to make the game go in our favour, and it did very quickly. I think watching the game at the time, it was horrible, and because we were losing for most of it, I don't think people have quite appreciated how good we were going forward second half. We scored 3 goals, and it could have been more. Obviously, Callum was off this planet with his finishing and touch and everything. Dominguez was class. You're playing on your own. Very, very wrong on the day, because Gibbs White was superb and turned the game, but Dominguez was better on the day as well. Obviously, we're still up against Championship centre backs. Jesus showed he can score a goal in the box. The a 2-yard run on a defender that he gave him, he punished him for. We know you don't get that in the Premier League generally. We know only too well. And that's all it was desire, being better on the ball, a desire to push them back and keep them back, a desire to get in that box and score goals, all the things we need, and some genuine quality. There should be quality. I wrote down the team sheet, and there's no kids in that. I'm guessing here the youngest players would have been McAtee, who was 30 million, and Savona, who was 12 or whatever million and has played however many, first team right back for most of the season. Hutchinson's obviously quite young as well, though. Disappointed with him in the 10 role, because I've seen him play for Ipswich in that 10 role a number of times, and he's been, I think that was his best games for Ipswich. But the reason it turned around was just simple as better players, and Chelsea's nailed it in that your second string are the players who should be ready to come in for injuries in the Premier League, Europe, or wherever. How many players put their hands up for a starting position next week, that played in that game? It was awful, absolutely awful. I can't remember. Dominguez didn't start the game, did he? He came on as well. So they literally nobody. Savona didn't do too much wrong. The problem we had second half, the reason we're better is we had better players going forward. The problem we had is we still had that soft underbelly at centre half, so there was always a chance they could hit us on the break, which is always what was going to happen, and kind of happened with the way they got a free kick and scored from the free kick. And that's it, really. Desire, square pegs in round holes in the first half, in a sense, in terms of Nottingham Forest, if that makes sense. I think it's pretty clear Zinchenko is a terrific player, but he's not the right left back for the way we play at Nottingham Forest. He's a midfielder. 2 centre halves. One, Morato is not as bad as he showed. That was his worst game in a Forest shirt, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've always said he's got something, but the gap between him and the other centre halves in terms of quality.
He was the one, I have to say. Morato was the one that I was screaming for being pulled.
At least he was there. He wasn't the invisible man like the other guy next to him. I've read on forums and stuff yesterday, some people saying, I thought Cunha was all right. I'm like, are they watching the same game? He won 0 tackles in the whole game, and he was never there, and he missed a tackle for one of the goals. But that's what it boils down to, isn't it? Quality and desire are 2 obvious things. But let's not forget as well, that team we put out first half were playing against not a full-strength Wrexham. And that's what's embarrassing. What on earth would have happened if we had that what's-his-face up front that always destroys us, even when we are at full strength normally, the old Bournemouth player.
Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, if Kiefer Moore didn't play, what might have happened? And that's the scary thing. But second half, if you in isolation, was superb football. Of course, we were going to concede at some point because with those clowns at the back. But going forward, we were superb. We could have scored more. Should have scored more. And fair play to them for changing it. Fair play to the players who came on and said, "This is how it's done." And what Dyche said afterwards. Okay, some of those fringe players that we're going to need might be feeling a little bit crestfallen at the moment. The lads he brought on, he kind of inadvertently gave them a massive pat on the back, and you're my guys, didn't he? By what he said. So yeah, so many things went wrong first half, and nearly all of them were put right second half. if he could have put a couple more subs on, maybe it would have. Who knows? We might not have even conceded that goal if he could have replaced both centre backs. It was very telling that he let Murillo play left back rather than put him in at centre back, and just let the two guys there continue, because there's no way. But there's not one of those players who started the game can go knocking on Dyche's door now, is there? Simple as that.
Which is a bit of a worry, I guess, really, isn't it? Because our squad, if you want to call it squad, or the top flight players that we have, we haven't got that many, which is a bit of a worry when you get injuries coming along. Because to be honest, we haven't had that. We've had a few players out, haven't we? But we haven't been hit too badly, have we? It's almost as if we've been able to cope with having the players out. Because I mean, Savona, when he came in, I thought he's been quite a consistent performer, really, hasn't he? And I think him and Hutchinson actually play very well together, to be fair. So, I mean, that filled the gap with Aina. So it was good, but hell, if we start digging a little bit deeper and needing a bit more of those other players, bit of a worry now.
But again, it should be that like for like, because the money that has been spent and the position that we are in, would be an injured, we should have had a striker who can come in and perform not exactly to the exact level, but a certain standard. And when was it? What we said in the last pod, where it was 1 goal in 19 games, wasn't it? And in terms of a standard for where we are, is not enough. And we should be in a position where it is like for like.
Centre backs winning 0 tackles as well. That's
yes,
the most staggering statistic of all when you really dig down and look at the ones that were lost for the goals. But, yeah.
I was going to ask about Cunha because I'd heard conflicting reports on how he was, Mollo. You're obviously just... I won't ask.
Hey, okay, I'm not suggesting you are old school like me. What's the first thing you want your centre-backs to be able to do? Head it and tackle.
Yeah. Simple things, isn't it?
He's all right
Basics.
on the ball. He looked nice bringing the ball out once or twice. Nothing spectacular. Wasn't exactly John Stones, but...
No.
I'd fancy my chances scoring up against him right now. I'm 52 and fat and old. That pairing were horrific. Horrific. And
Tell you what, half time Mollo would have taken it. Put Mollo on.
I wasn't scored against their centre, I was against ours, but no. He was, bless him, he's young, he's got time to develop and all the usual stuff people say, but to not win a tackle in a whole 100 and however many minutes it was, 120 minutes, and then when you see the goals where tackles were lost or half tackles were made, it all sums it up, doesn't it? But the other thing I was going to say, it's not about knocking on Dyche's door. It's also not one of those players that started the game put any pressure on the person that's in possession of the shirt in their position. Yeah. You look at the players who have come off the bench, and Dyche has took some absolute brickbats for not using his bench. Well, I think we can see why now on the whole, can't we?
Yeah.
And the only player who's come in really recently, and you alluded to one of them, Dominguez coming back from injury has got better and better and better.
Yeah.
And for me, he has to start against Arsenal, whether that be with all those midfielders. And the other one is Hutchinson, obviously, has come in and had an impact in some games. His end product still got a lot of work needed, and he lost a tackle for, luckily, I think it was disallowed, wasn't it, the goal? But I think it was that goal. No, was it? Yeah, he lost the ball cheaply in a weak position for one or two of the goals, didn't he? So he's got stuff to work on, but there's definitely something there that's a lot of promise, and he's been an addition. But the only question I'd finally ask about this sort of second string, have any of them done any more than Jota Silva did last season? And the answer is clear as day, isn't it?
Yeah. But he was 100%, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew what it is.
He had some quality as well, but yeah.
I saw it listed on social media earlier. Elanga, Toffolo and Jota Silva.
Yeah.
Have any of them been replaced by Betton? Was the question.
And out of those, obviously Toffolo's different because he's taken the decision to go and play football, and I respect him for that. But 100%, Zink's a better player than him all round, but he's not a better fit for Nottingham Forest in what we do, is he? So, yeah, 100%.
That's like what we always say. You'd rather have a 50% skilled player giving you 100% than a 100% skilled player giving you 50%.
All day long.
That doesn't happen last night if Yates is fit, by the way, does it, in the same way?
No.
We all know that.
Absolutely agree with that.
No,
I
slightly
thought in
worrying.
extra time on the, I thought in extra time we were the only team that were in it. It felt like it was a real shame that we didn't manage to get a goal because it was all right in front of us. It felt like we were really pushing for that win.
And that's a
When it
fitness
went-
thing, I reckon.
Yeah, and they did. Wrexham looked dead on their feet by that
Yeah.
point, which is something that I felt we should have potentially been able to capitalise on.
Because they
but-
put everything into their performance, whereas in that first half, not many of ours did they? And I don't subscribe to the, we can concentrate on the league and Europe, because those players who started the game predominantly, Sells and Jesus apart, and probably Hutchinson in that, because of the positioning thing, they need games, as many as they can get, and they're not going to get many Premier League games, most of them, because they were awful. Yeah.
Although I have to say that was one thing that when it went to penalties, obviously last year in the FA Cup, everything went to extra time and penalties, didn't it? And you would have backed us to win a penalty shootout. You would have backed Sells to save a couple. And there was that conversation when it went to penalties amongst the people that I was with. You'd back Sells to nab a few here. And as they, when Morgan stepped up, you were still sort of in that frame of mind. I know they missed their first rather than he saved it, but you thought, okay, this could be all right. But Sells did seem a shadow of his former self in that penalty shootout. To me, maybe that's me being very harsh, but their goalkeeper was the absolute star of the show, wasn't he? And as much as I had a feeling both Jesus and Hutchinson were going to miss, I had that feeling. Sells, he didn't get near anything really, did he? Which was disappointing.
It's the research, isn't it? It's going to be much harder to find out who takes penalties in what direction from their team with their background, with the amount of penalty shootouts they've been in, compared to us who seem to have been in, like you said, there numerous penalty shootouts lately. And Hutchinson, who's taken one or two for Ipswich, I think, if I remember rightly, and missed. But I was with you. I thought both of them were good. I actually couldn't believe the keeper dived for Gibbs White. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
Yeah.
Gibbs White, I love him. He's a great player, and he's a great penalty. He's a penalty that goes in the back of the net at the end of the day, but very predictable with his penalties at the moment. And I called where he was going to put it, and he did, and the keeper dived obviously out of the way of it. So yeah, but no, I didn't feel overly confident when I saw him stood next to Sells, because he was very tall. That keeper, wasn't he? Fair play, he did a great job, and can't knock him.
Right, well, I guess we put that one to bed, along with all the other domestic cups this season. and we move forward with the Europa League and our upcoming Premier League fixture, which we will come to after our regular features, which are starting with Mollo's moment. Can we have a moment? Is
Try to
there one?
dig deep, Mollo, dig deep.
God,
Were the pies good?
I'm going to say, I thought about this long and hard, and I didn't know if I have the courage to say it. But I'm going to say the fans basically starting the team talk with what was that, because that was the question. I know there was a lot of aggression around it as well. People, being laying into the players, but that's what they needed to hear, was what on earth was that? Not you're not fit to wear the shirt. I don't like that, because people can have bad days and lots of people do. But that was definitely right up there in my thinking. And Callum Hudson-Odoi brought that ball down on his chest, looked at the goalkeeper, and side foot volleyed it into the basically more or less top corner over a very tall keeper. It couldn't be any other moment, could there? That was absolutely world class. Any when a Man City player or a Man United or a Barcelona player does that, you're watching that time and time again on the match of the day highlights and whatever. It was top draw, and we know he's capable of that, because
who pinged that into him? Who was it who pinged him?
Savona got 2 assists.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, solid game in comparison. So yeah, fair play. Absolutely, that is the moment by a mile in the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Chelsea, have you got an FPL update?
Yes, I have. So we have all shifted in place this week. So Mola, you've gone up to 12th place. You've gone up
Just one.
one space. That's all, but still one space. Good. You got 70 points this week. Thiago and Haaland up front. They got you 24, so that was all good. Kate, I would like to say that you'd gone up, Kate, but you're down. You're down to 29.
I did go up. I went up very briefly and then I went back down.
Oh. You got 57 points though, so it's actually not too bad in terms of overall points. But the silent assassin of Simon, he has also dropped a place down to 9th. He got 39 points. Simon, that's not good enough, I'm afraid, when you're up that high, I tell you.
I'll defend him at this point because he's ill.
Yeah.
He hasn't been making those changes, has he? Didn't he play with 10 men or something? Or was that the week before?
Oh, I don't know. I might have been the week before.
He's
But
had so
Mollo,
many
this might be the only opportunity that we get to say that he drops down.
Yeah.
Don't take it away from us.
Sorry.
And then me, I went down to 21st place, but I got 60 points. So I was quite frustrated. I was so happy with my points. I was like, yes, 60. And then I saw and was like, oh God, and I still dropped. So clearly everyone had good weeks. And also as well, I just want to let everyone know that there are a few blank and double game weeks coming up. So blank game week is where there's fewer than 10 games. And then you've got double game weeks where there are more than 10 games. So now that all our chips are reset, try and use them to your own advantage on some double game weeks. So watch out for that. And I will just have a little look at the overall leaderboard. So we have a new leader, Liam Boland. He
Was it there earlier in the season?
Yes, so he got 72 points this week and 1,261 overall. So he's now back. And then, so now David, Simon's brother, is not bottom anymore. So he'll be very, very happy with that. We've got a new Stephen Brown. He's new at the bottom. Anyone know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, from
Welsh
Durham
Steve.
Store, Welsh Steve, yeah.
Oh, Welsh Steve. Oh, Welsh Steve. Well, do you know what?
It's all about Wales, you see.
Yeah.
That's what you deserve to be down there, Steve. You stay down there in Wales.
Bless him. So he scored 42. Again, not bad points overall that we've had this week. So, yes, do better next week, all of us, please. Especially you, Kate. I want to see you go up like 10.
I actually said to my 10-year-old, will you just do it for me? Because I'm so bad. Oh, okay. But no, I am doing it myself. It was just a moment. I'm doing it myself, I promise. No cheating.
Yeah, I'll say no cheating, Kate.
Okay, so I have got a quiz question. I'm quite glad you're here for this, Kev, actually, because I think you
Must
and
be an
Mollo...
old one.
I thought that.
Old question.
I think you and Mollo...
Thank you.
Chelsea, you will know some of this, and I think some of it you'll definitely be able to do, but I think you and Mollo will be quite a good team here, quite a good replacement for
Come on
Simon.
then.
And I totally stole this off TalkSport. We were listening to TalkSport on the way home from Wrexham. I've doctored it a little bit, but here it is. Here is the question. Name the last 10 different teams to win the FA Cup. Okay, so obviously some of them have won it multiple times, so I'm looking for the last 10 different teams to have won the FA Cup.
We just reel them off and then tell us how many we've got left.
So you tell me who you think it is, yeah, absolutely, and I will tell you whether or not you're right and when they won it, and then yeah, we'll do how many you've got left.
Okay, I hate saying this one. Leicester.
Leicester in 2021? Yeah.
Man U, Man City.
So Man U 2024, 2016, 2004, 99, 96. This will give you a clue as to how far back you've got to go. That's
Yeah.
Man U.
Right.
Man City 2023, 2019, 2011.
Right. Kev, you've got to say 3 now.
Oh, God, crikey. Spurs.
No.
Did
Not
Newcastle?
that far back. See, they did do the 14 on the radio, but I thought
They
that'd
did
take us
do it,
too
but we're
long.
not going to mention when or how or that.
Yeah.
Well,
Jordan
that's one that
Giggs.
I haven't been able to get out. You see, that's the trouble.
Yeah.
Roger Milford, who should never, ever, ever. Anyway, sorry. Not what I
Absolutely.
picked up.
Right. Who have we got? So, did we go Arsenal?
Arsenal, correct. So they, flipping heck, I ran out of room. 2020, 2017, 2015, 2014, 2005, 2003, 2002, and 98.
Wow.
Arsenal, yes.
Here we go. God.
Come
on, Charles, you've
think
got
of the
one.
big six.
Yeah, I know. See, I was going to drop Villa in there, but that's not in it.
No.
No. That's why I was looking at your top
Did Newcastle?
No.
No.
Have you ever seen a Geordie with a cup?
No, but you know when I'm trying to dig deep in my head.
Right, Liverpool.
six. Liverpool,
Oh,
yeah.
Liverpool, not as many as you'd think though. 2022, 2006, 2001.
Palace.
Of course.
Ah, of
2025.
course
That's
it
the one I
was.
thought you'd get, Charles.
Do you know what? See, again, I erased that from my memory. Done like Men in Black. Gone.
They're not winning
Yeah.
it this year.
No.
So
I've
you've
got a couple
1,
of
2,
corkers
3,
I've been
4,
saving.
5. So you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 to get.
Right, Portsmouth and Wigan.
Yes, indeed.
Come
Wigan,
on, Marlo.
2013 beat Man City 1-0. Well done. And Portsmouth, they were. Well, oh gosh, I've not written down the year for them, but they beat Cardiff
Yeah.
1-0. One last one. No, two actually.
Two.
There's one that I
Yeah, I've got 8 down now.
West Ham?
No.
No.
They won it in the 70s, 80s.
78.
Yeah, they were
It's
first
going to
back.
be after 91. Everton, of course.
Yeah.
I was only about to say Everton.
Well done. Everton
Paul
in
Rideout.
1995. You got one more.
I've said Leicester, haven't I?
You do.
Hang on.
You'll think you've said it, but you haven't.
Oh no, I'm just thinking through the big five. So we've said Arsenal, said Liverpool, said Man City, said Man United. No Spurs never win anything. Of course, Chelsea.
There we go. I've got, see, Chelsea, 2018, 2012, 2010, 2009, 2007, 2000, and 1997. There you go.
Hello.
Good.
Do you know, I was
Very
going to
good.
say
Look, we down there.
no. I was going to say Everton, and I thought, no, you've cocked up a few. You don't say Everton. And one I should have been with. You know.
Paul Rideout, remember?
He was it? Yeah, what a player, actually.
I know, but I just thought, as I was listening, I thought that is a great question. Yeah, they went to the last 14, and Des was quoting his, I don't know, Premier League or whatever it was, albums that he still reads like a child. He could go right back to the, I don't know, 70s or whatever. But yeah, good question. So yeah,
To 40s.
yeah, I imagine so.
My
Well
favourite
done.
FA Cup question: Man City slightly ruined, didn't they? That was the biggest ever FA Cup final defeat. Man City beat Watford
Yeah.
the same score to ruin it a bit because it was
Yeah.
Derby lost to Bury in 1946.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just
Hello.
for the sake of the listeners, I'm just going to recap them because we were a bit higgledy-piggledy how we did that. So we've got Crystal Palace, Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal, Chelsea, Wigan, Portsmouth, and Everton. Right. Okay. And on that note, let's move on to previewing Arsenal. Shall we? I mean, we haven't directly spoken about Edu, have we? Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff on Edu, but I feel in a roundabout way, we've sort of touched on it. What starting lineup are we looking for against Arsenal? And is there anything we can do to win this game? Chelsea and Kev.
Well, you'd like to think that'd be Murillo Milenkovic.
Interesting to see whether he plays Aina again. I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
what I'd be thinking. I don't know whether Savona will come in.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
'cause
Obviously,
playing 3 on the trot for Aina or whatever is going to be quite a lot,
Yeah.
isn't it? Really, he's,
Good rest though.
yeah.
yeah. Obviously, you'll have Williams. Then we come to midfield.
Well,
I'm
I've
just-
been reading all day that Douglas Luiz is going back.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I heard that.
Wouldn't start anyway.
No, you wouldn't start. No.
No.
Would that be a problem? Do you think? Really, value for money?
No. I don't think.
And also Sangare back.
Yes.
Love Sangare. I do hear.
love
Molo.
the
Landing
Sangare
at
we
East
saw
Midlands
against
Airport
Tottenham.
on his white
Do you know-
Charger.
do you
Here
know
comes
what?
Sangare.
I love the Sangare we saw against Tottenham.
No, I think he's a guy that in the right team, in a struggling team, he won't do so well. But in a nice, in a good team, I think he's just quality. He's one of these guys who. No, I'm not going to, because I have a different opinion. I like
That's
Dominguez
what it's
too.
all about.
This is a safe space, Kev.
I tell you,
Please
honestly,
speak your truth.
I have always he had lots of injuries when he came, but you can see that guy oozes class because I always. How many times did the likes of Gascoigne or Ginola get tackled? Not a lot because they're skillful. They'll just move it and go past you. And if you look at it, he's probably one of the least tackled people because they just stand off him and wait for him to do something. In my opinion, because he has got a bit of quality. I'll shut up now, Molly. But I like Dominguez too. Always have that.
Eye twitching.
I actually think against Arsenal, it's not either or. I think it's both.
Yeah, he could be right.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think you do what Nuno did, and it's got to be Callum the way he's been playing last
Yes.
week.
Of course.
Callum on one wing.
Yep.
Probably Dominguez holds up a side, doesn't he? Better than any of the others.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you've got to have Anderson in the middle, to be fair,
Yep.
because Anderson used to hold up a side sometimes. But I think you go unusually. I'd go Sangare and Anderson with Dominguez and Callum outside them.
Yep.
Gibbs White, and then literally it's got to be Jesus, hasn't it? Unless
Yeah,
you start
exactly.
anyone in the meantime.
yeah, I think so.
I think Aina definitely over Savona because Savona got ripped a new one at their place, and he's come on since then, hasn't he? And he's actually
Yes.
one thing about Savona. When he comes up against really good wingers, he seems to step up and do his marking job really well. Against Bournemouth away, if it hadn't been for him and Williams, we'd have got absolutely rinsed because our centre backs had an off day.
Yeah.
So I can see the argument. Savona's one of the few. Is he the only defender we've got knocking on the door for selection outside
Yeah.
of the first four? Probably, and fair play to him for that because I don't think he was balked to come straight in, was he?
No, and some of the guys we got in there that you'd expect to have actually just made a name for themselves or whatever. He's not one of those you would have thought, really,
No.
would you?
No.
But he's actually, yeah, he's a reliable. I wouldn't even call him a backup. He you can rely on him. I do think most of the time.
Out of all of the signings that we had, I really thought that McAtee was going to make a name for himself. But again,
I
was
think with
excited by that
McAtee, for me with McAtee, it wasn't so much what he'd done in the Premier League for Man City and the FA Cup, whatever. It was watching him in England under 21s where Hutchinson, Anderson, the lad from Bristol City, I can't remember, was it Alex Scott,
Yep.
were levels above anyone else. Then there was a big drop down to McAtee, and that was my concern. If he's not doing it, if he's not, Hutchinson, and Anderson and Scott stood out, didn't they, under 21
They
level?
did, yep.
The lad who
Yeah, they
scored all the goals at Harvey, whatever his name was, Harvey Elliott.
Elliot, yeah.
He caught the eye for his goal scoring from out wide. I genuinely didn't think McAtee did anything special. But I will say there's a player in there because his first touch is fantastic. Honestly, I think
Somebody that was sat behind us at Wrexham at half time said about McAtee, he's a modern academy player. And I thought, yes, I think that absolutely nails it. And he said it's not that he isn't good, it's that he's not right. And I think you've said it about Zinchenko. I agree. It's not that he's a bad player, he's not right for the team. I think the same about McAtee. I'm not sure whether Back was just not good. I don't know, or whether he's just not right, or both. I'm not sure.
something, hasn't he? He's like the modern day in a different position. Dare I say, Sangare, in that he's shown the odd flash, and you think, ooh,
Was he?
and
Backwards first game was Arsenal, wasn't it, Molly? Was it?
Yeah, he came on and looked really
he looked
lively.
good, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he looked. I'm not convinced at the moment he meant that pass at Villa, but when he did it, I was like, whoa, that was great. And he had 5 minutes in the first half against Wrexham where he just literally was 5 minutes where he got the ball 2 or 3 times and looked the part and then disappeared. Now, our problem is, and this again, this takes you kind of to recruitment, doesn't it? We're not Arsenal or Man City. You can pay 25 million for a potentially good player who
Absolutely.
can learn the game in England, maybe send him out on loan for a year and then comes back like a Saliba and drops in and is Premier League ready. We needed oven-cooked ready Premier League players, didn't we?
Yep.
And Bakwa, and probably Callum Wendo as well, although to me, whoever scouted him, I can't believe they thought he had the tools to be a Premier League player as a centre-forward, but that's a different conversation. But to me, Back was one that a year or two from now, if we had the wherewithal to wait for him to develop and drop him in for 15, 20 minutes like he did against Arsenal at the end, could potentially be a very, very good player because his physique's, he's dominating, isn't he?
Yep.
But we're just not that club yet. Maybe we thought we were in the summer, and we're just not. And McAtee's the one. I think one of my friends, knows his football, said the thing with McAtee, he's used to playing with everything in front of him for Man City, where everybody's backing off, and he can have time on the ball. But much like Sangare just gets caught in possession too often.
Yeah.
Like I said, his first touch is mustard, and that's absolutely mustard. His second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth touch, on the other hand, bit of a problem. So it's
It's a
I
bit
don't
of a
know what
worry,
his
isn't
attitude is, but you got the feeling he was one of the players that Dyche was referring to about not putting it in training, wasn't he? He needs another loan spell somewhere in the Championship or whatever to hurly burly, because we spent 30 million quid on that kid.
And that's the worry, isn't it, really? We've spent a lot of money and their stock's probably gone down. And if you're trying to offload him, money's gone. If you're trying to replace, what are you going to get?
It's when you do it as well, isn't it? You're right, because Callum Wendo and Bakker have got enough in the bank from their previous clubs in the Mickey Mouse leagues that somebody in the Mickey Mouse league might buy them. They're certainly not going to get picked up by a Premier League side, are they?
Was it last night Callum Wendo played and did he set one up? Score came on and got an assist or whatever. Look good. Well, the paper's always going to say look good, aren't they? Because he's gone to another club or
plus
whatever.
it's a different type of football, isn't it?
Of course it is.
My concern is our recruitment, getting in players like that, and I was very vocal about this last season, and I want to look like an idiot, but unfortunately it's not coming out, and that's that we never should have let Danilo go while he was still coming back to fitness. I'm not saying he's the all-time answer, I'm not saying he was going to be the best player in the world, but he came back from a horrendous injury and clearly not got his full confidence and physicality back, and because we've got our money back and a bit on him, we've let him go and brought in Louise, for instance, and now we're hearing Brighton sniffing around him, and if Brighton is sniffing around him, he must have something about him. I just think he's potentially a lovely player, just unfortunately the way it is. So, like Kate said, it kind of, without actually talking about the Edu situation, we kind of are, aren't we? Because it is poor recruitment.
Yeah.
And I guess the issue for me with Edu is, yes, I am definitely team get rid of Edu. I think the evidence is stacked so high against him now. I don't know how anybody could advocate for keeping him, but getting rid of him doesn't balance the books. It doesn't give us a load of money to spend. It doesn't mean that we can offload all these players that we've bought that doesn't work. It's definitely the first step for sure, but it's not a magic wand getting rid of Edu. We are in this situation, and as much as we were all saying these players should never wear the shirt, as much as Dyche is saying these players shouldn't be knocking on my door after that performance, they are the squad that we've got.
Yeah.
And we do have Arsenal at home in the Premier League this weekend. So one narrative that I've heard, which you guys must have all heard as well, is people saying, wouldn't it be just like Forest to crash out the FA Cup on penalties to Wrexham with that shocking first half performance and all the questions around the squad, and then go and beat Arsenal in the Premier League? Is there anything to that at all? Can anybody find anything that says that's likely to be what happens?
No, but if we played like how we did against Spurs, Man City, then we might have, we might be in the running to beat them.
I always say when you lose against the lesser clubs, that's about either motivational from the manager, because when you're playing against Even down to when we used to play. If you're playing against better teams, you raised your game, and you didn't need no manager to tell you that. But they always seem to put in a shift a bit against the better sides. I mean, Tottenham was a great game, wasn't it? I'm not saying they won the better side, but against Man City, what an effort there as well, and they were motivated without a doubt, So why can't people go and, and I always think that everything's scalable. And I know when we used to play rubbish standard, but you'd still put your effort in against the better because you wanted to be recognised, so you wanted somebody to see you. And I think that's the same sort of thing. You shouldn't have to be motivated by the manager to play against the better sides. I don't believe. So who knows, Kate? It could be.
Well, I think we will compete. I 100% agree with everything you said there, Kev, apart from those last 15, 20 minutes when what we look at our bench and they look at their bench. They're a very different animal to what they were last year, aren't they? Yeah. They've got no weaknesses. And if a player's not on his game, they'll bring somebody like we thought we were going to be doing this year, who's deserves to play in many ways and comes off the bench to prove they deserve to play. It's like you're bringing off England internationals off the bench. We're bringing on England under-21 players.
Who possibly don't want to be there.
We don't know, do we? I mean, I think the problem, though, the phrase that you use there, Kate, there is no magic wand, and that is 100% it, isn't it? I'm not necessarily get rid of Edu because I don't know what his job is. I don't know what he does. I don't know if the recruitment is all on him. It's just people's assumptions, isn't it? But what I do know, it's incremental improvements in a number of areas. Like obviously attitude was one of them. Recruitment is a massive one. Bit of luck, goal scoring, a bit more. There's little incremental improvements needed all across the first team situation at the moment to make us a little bit better. David Brailsford used to say, didn't he, if you improve lots of areas 1%, you can improve by 5% and all that sort of stuff. Because the gap between clubs in the Premier League financially might be massive, but on a day-to-day basis isn't much. Wolves have been far and away the worst team in the country, and they've started playing lately, haven't they? Just in time to come to us. There's no easy games, but I do feel like Arsenal at the moment, they're a level, and this is an incredible thing to say, but they're a bit of a level above where Man City were when they came to us. We need that Arsenal to turn up that don't fancy it or are complacent, but they don't seem to have that in their armoury. There's like a desperation about them. When they were struggling against Wolves, they found a way, didn't they? And I mean, what could possibly go wrong? The best set piece team in the country versus us.
Do you know what that is exact? I was about to say set pieces.
Me too. That's the thing with Arsenal. It's set pieces, isn't it? It's set pieces. Yeah.
And we are shocking.
Could all change. I think the thing against West Ham it was points over performance. I'd love to see. We ain't going to get the points. I'd like to see a performance here, just so you've got something to work off really. So that can
build up the confidence.
Absolutely, and I think that's probably where we need to be really. That free hit thing. It's not that hard, but put in a performance. Get a little bit of confidence back and move on. I think it's probably what we're looking for more than anything.
The only area going in our favour, I suppose, where we can 100% match them is our centre-backs.
Yeah.
Will match their forwards, whether it be Gabriel Jesus or that other fella they spent silly money on. We know we've got the players to match that. It's just, on the day, we're going to need Ando at his absolute best. We're going to need Sangare to be the Spurs version. And not to denigrate him specifically, but the team generally. We destroyed a Spurs team that absolutely did the same as what we did turning up to Wrexham. They did not turn up. They did. I said at half time in that game, they can't be that bad second half. They've not competed for a 50-50 apart from their centre backs, obviously, because that's their job, unlike ours last week. And they came out second half, and if anything, they were worse. And yet, some of the goals were gifts, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And that's,
you're absolutely right.
We should have put them to the sword in some ways. And that's the thing. I can see Jesus really upsetting their centre backs. I just can't see him scoring against them if you follow the drift there.
No, he's a handful, isn't he?
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder whether the referees are getting a bit wise to how he plays.
Yeah, he dives a lot.
He does, and I mean, you you could call that being quite clever, but I think they do get wise to it, really, don't they? To be honest, there seems, in games we've seen such a gulf between or gap between, him and everyone else. It's difficult for him to hold up. I mean, he's not playing what's he playing? He's not really playing as a striker. Is he playing somebody who lifts the ball up to and tries to bring it down and then get clobbered? That's at the moment, isn't it? Which is a bit of a worry.
And that's the thing, that's looking for goals elsewhere now, isn't it? Rather than from Jesus, unfortunately.
Strand Larson, is that coming?
Oh, well, oh.
Is there talk of McAtee going the other way? That's all I keep reading on this things. I don't know.
Wolves trying to get ready for the Championship by all accounts. Like they genuinely have all but come out and said that, haven't they? So
wow.
They could do a lot worse, and that would be a get out of jail card for our financial recruitment team, wouldn't it? Get out of jail.
That's the other thing, isn't it? Really, we have to be very careful.
Established, proven centre forward, and getting the value of our young midfielder.
Get somebody in.
30 million.
I think it's just that you just want people who want to roll their sleeves up and just work hard, don't you? I tell you what, I don't know. I might be speaking out of turn here, but Morgan Gibbs White to me of late, he's changed his game a bit. I know he always run. He's running more than I ever picked out before. Let's put it that way. He was Mr. Skillful turn toucher. Am I right? Have I misread it? He just seems
he's
to
always been our
run
hardest
and
working
run.
midfielder. I think what's happened, it's noticeable because the gap between midfield and attack seems to get wider and wider. But I think he had a little spell where we were trying to get him playing further up the pitch, which is really what we want.
Yep.
And Anderson seemed to be the running. But I think one thing you can. Gibbs White never leaves anything out there. When he's on a bad day, he's running his socks off. And whether he's had a new contract or not, he's always the same. And I think it's one of the areas that I think our expectations of him are very high as well, because we know what he's capable of. I think I'll be honest with you, Kevin. Maybe it's a seeing him live thing rather than on the TV. The ground that guy covers is for a skillful kind of. Traditionally luxury player who's out of this world.
And I think that's why I asked that, Muller, because he does, he seems to have changed his game, or I'm seeing him do different things, I think. And
running into the camera shot, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's what Dyche is supposed to be, famous for, isn't he? Getting them to run.
Yeah.
So there might well be something in that, Kev. And I do think, Morgan, he is still our main man.
Yeah,
he's still our main man, and we saw that at Wrexham. We certainly looked to him at the weekend and some others.
Consistent performers is what you want, isn't it? And that's what you need in your team, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
That's a scary thought. You're saying so. He is our main attacking threat in terms of opening teams up, our number 10, and they're probably, if their number 10's not quite at it, they can bring on probably Eze. Back up, Eze can't get in the side. It's terrifying, isn't it?
See that's frightening.
On a bit of a positive there.
Let's rewind.
The only thing we've got
basically, you've rolled me off the pitch. That's what you've done there.
You've done a Martinelli. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's football. Anything can happen on any given day, and if a few of them have an off day or whatever, but. With that pressure on our back four at 5 is huge again, isn't it? But at least it's our first choice back 5, and the more games Ola plays, the more likely he's going to get back to his old self, if he ever does, because he seems to have been in the gym a lot with the size of his upper body this term since he came back in. So there's that, isn't there? And let's just hope, because on paper our back 4 should definitely compete. And our midfield, on its day, should compete. Our problem is that phrase, isn't it? On its day,
Your
confidence hasn't been flowing. But I do think I'll be very surprised if he goes out with 2 wingers.
Yeah.
If he does, it'll be a very interesting team selection, because if I'm Nico Dominguez and I'm not starting that game, I'm assuming the manager doesn't rate me, and I'm looking elsewhere, because he's been our best midfielder for the last few weeks, hasn't he? He's outshone all of them.
That's consistent again, isn't it?
You know,
But I think
consistent, does the
I think-
basics really well.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. We all get wrapped up in this. Oh, Forest last season, we were there. But you hit the nail on the head there, Molly. You said we're buying sort of like £30 million players that we expect to come in and and do a job of when others are spending 80 million or whatever.
Yeah.
You do have to get real sometimes. I was swept up, and it's not until you
Yeah.
said that you're absolutely right.
Can I just say though, as much as I'd love to take credit for this, and I think you know where I'm going with this, Kate, the person who said that to me, and not just to me, it was two other people, was actually, bless him, R.I.P. Kevin Campbell said it. He said, you'll go out and you'll spend £30 million, that doesn't buy you a Premier League player necessarily anymore.
No.
And teams like, not just Arsenal, there's others, isn't there? You know, look at the players, the one I look at, everyone when we went to Fulham was, we should win this, they've got players out. Look at the players they've brought in and the run they've gone on since. And that goal, their fifth choice midfielder, Harrison Reed, scored. We don't have a centre midfielder who can even score a goal like that.
No.
You know, he's their fifth choice midfielder. They've got Tom Kearney doing bits. You know, lovely.
Yeah.
He's been a quality player for a number of years. So the standard of the player you need at the cost you're having to pay is unreal.
Yeah.
And what you've got to do is make that gap up with your endeavour, your teamwork, and everything else.
Yeah.
And take a gamble on potential like we did with Murillo, which has paid off massively,
Yeah.
and see where it takes you, because the quality of the league isn't actually better than it ever was. It's just the sheer lack of drop-off in squad for most of the teams that have been there a long time. Everton showed that, didn't they? They had loads of players missing, but they still looked a really balanced
they did.
side. Both times they played us, they battered us in different ways, different tactical way. And that's the way it goes, isn't it? You know, they stuck their right back couldn't get a game because of that O'Brien. They get injuries. He goes in at centre back, and the right back who couldn't get a game comes in and looks like a Premier League ready-made right back, didn't he?
Yeah.
No,
you're right.
it's just the way it is. It's a tough league. I'm not making excuses because we want to compete, but if we're going to compete, we need those other things to happen. And we need to get our recruitment better. If you're hitting it 50-50, you're doing quite well, but we're miles off that in the last 12 months,
Yeah,
aren't
we
we?
are. Yeah. A cheeky little bid for Elanga back. Is that on the cards?
But then what are you getting? I love Elanga, but it's going to take him 3 or 4 months to get his confidence back, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Well, he
He's
just
looks a
takes
broken
play
man.
to them. The only thing that I like with him, nothing else, give him the ball, he'll get done like. Because the thing that frustrates me now as well, Milo, and I find out and I shout at it, we don't drive into the box.
Yeah.
We never get a penalty because we never will turn and go back. Get in that box and see what happens a lot of the time.
100%.
We don't do that, do we?
And our
That
wingers-
frustrates.
Oh, unfortunately, we seem to have lost connection with Mollo and we're not able to get him back. So what we're going to do is we're just going to finish this episode off with myself and Chelsea and Kev and head straight into what we think is going to happen against Arsenal. Okay, so I think we have to do score predictions or
Do we have to?
we've missed out. I've noticed we've missed out man of the match for Wrexham, but we'll do that in the group so that Simon can update his spreadsheet. We won't do that now, but I think we should do score predictions. So I know we've said already it's all about performance for us, and I absolutely agree with that. We need to see a performance, but what do we think the score is likely to be? One each for you, Charles and Kev, one each.
Ladies first.
I'll give the Arsenal score, you give the Forest.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. 0? Right, so I'm going to go 1-1. Here we go.
1-1. Oh, I
go
like
1-1.
it.
Yeah.
Chelsea?
I'm just going to see what's in his coffee cup over there, but I definitely don't think that's going to be 1-1. Okay, I'm not going to say what my head said, but I'll go with 2-1. Arsenal.
Okay, just checking. Okay. I was going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
That's what I was going to do, but I
Not
thought...
what I hope. But, okay, so, Team Kev, come on for that point.
Come on. With an 8 out of 10 performance, there we go. Which is obviously, I'm looking for a good
Can I
performance
say he's
as well.
never this positive? Never.
I have to
Never,
be.
never,
I've
never.
changed.
Okay.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, well, I think that's just about it. I think we've covered most things any other business from anybody?
No, just
No.
a point would be amazing, wouldn't
That
it?
would be amazing. A performance would be wonderful.
Yep.
And of course, we wish Simon get well soon. He is actually poorly today. So,
Get well
Simon,
soon.
I hope
Get
you're
well
listening
soon.
to this from your sick bed and not too critical of the editing that I'm about to do. And hope that you are feeling better and back at the keyboard, ready to play Forest of Magic for our next recording after we thrash Arsenal.
Bring it on.
There you go. All right. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. Take care, enjoy the game, and we will see you very soon.